you know your assemblyman?
No, please, I don't know.
Yeah, minimum assemblyman.
Yes, I know my assemblyman.
No, I don't know my assemblyman.
No, I don't know my assemblyman.
No, I don't know. I haven't seen it before.
With the 2024 elections coming up, amidst the spotlight on presidential elections, there exists a pivotal but often overlooked part of our democracy, the local government elections. Over the years, fewer and fewer Ghanaians tend to pay attention to these elections only in the immediate run-up to the polls, and these Ghanaians are only in the rural areas. A few days ago, Minister for Local Government, Honorable Dan Boche, underscored in Parliament that over 6,000 local leaders will be elected into district assemblies.
I entreat my honorable members of Parliament in this August House to whip up enthusiasm of the electorate to turn out on Tuesday, 19 December 2023, and vote massively for the representatives to their respective district assemblies and unit committees. Right, Honorable Speaker, decentralization has brought government closer to the people than it has ever been in almost 3 decades.
We are simply looking for insight on the roles of these assembly members, if they're living up to their expectations, and generally how we feel about them, because each one of us belongs to an assembly, and these local leaders, paid by our government taxes, have a crucial role to the development of our community. Mepacho, and the question I'm saying maybe is simple. Uni mo assemblyman ana?
Oh, that be my assemblyman.
No, I don't know my assemblyman.
One or two about assembly elections ni muda. Obi anto abad. Adana ento abano.
When you vote for these leaders, they do not do anything in the community. I don't see the reason I should waste my time to vote for them. It's always a repetition. You vote one into power, and they don't do anything until the next elections, and the next person is voted into power. There really is no use in voting for them. I have noticed that if you vote for any leader in this country, you are simply giving them opportunity to enrich themselves and their families. That is why I'm not interested in voting for anyone.
Him say do right or responsibility say we elect Obi for local government. I also be represented. If something is going on in your community that is not good or needs the attention of government, that is the person who is supposed to go and represent and talk about your grievances. How do we make sure say going forward the right thing is done?
I'm not only person I can vote to them.
I am not the only person who needs to vote for them to work. If I don't, someone else will, and if they win, they will do what they have to do.
And you have win. So what you're supposed to do, you have to do it.
Well, from this little disco, it is clear that the disconnect between the election of these local leaders into assembly and district and the roles and responsibilities that they are supposed to be fulfilling is one clear reason why there's a declining voter participation in the local election.
The conversation with, as far as our big stories are concerned, the district assembly elections just a week away on the 19th day of this month. There's not been so much talk about it, and that also points to the apathy as far as these elections are concerned. But how do we deepen this portion of our democratic exercise? Well, joining us for a conversation on that, we have Fred Odro-Ejako. He is a local governance analyst. He joins us via phone. Fred, a very good morning to you, sir. Hello, Mr. Ejako.
Hello.
Right. It's good to have you join the conversation, sir. Like we know, earlier in the year, we had the registration exercise conducted by the Electoral Commission on the back of these district-level elections. Quite a number of people registered, some of them first-time voters, as was the case, or as was the reason for this registration exercise. But now we've got to the point where we're about to go to the polls. But I'd like to start off the conversation from what this election is all about. Like we've said, there's a lot of apathy. Many people don't even know what the elections are, and some don't even care. Let's talk about this level of elections, the district assembly elections. What specifically are they?
When we talk about the district level election, it refers to the selection of individuals to join the local assemblies to, provide effective governance at the local level. If you bear with me, Ghana is divided now into 261 metropolitan, municipal, and district assemblies. And these are the closest level of governance to our people. If we add the unit committees that are also part of this local level election. If we look at the district assemblies, they have specific roles they play in the development of our various communities. For that matter, our assembly system is very, very important, or dare I say, critical to our development. But for the assembly to effectively function, there must be elected and even appointed officials at the assembly level to help with our governance process. And the assembly members are elected per electoral areas to represent the electoral areas, which is perhaps the smallest division of the country. However, we have failed to understand first the work of the assemblies, and we have failed to understand the work of the assembly members. And that is where we find ourselves at this critical time. There's another challenge that I think we are also skirting around. But if I may say so, the other challenge we do have with our local level election is also to do with how we are able to mobilize individuals to go out to vote. If you compare our district level elections to our national elections, you realize that when we are having national elections, which covers our members of parliament and our presidents, you realize that we have an effective vehicle, which is the political parties, to mobilize people to go out there to vote. But we do not have a similar system available at the district level to mobilize people to go out and vote during election. So I think, in a nutshell, for me, there is no effective vehicle for mobilizing at the local level. That also affects the willingness it affects how people would really want to be part of the process in the election. So these are basically my initial thoughts.
Now, in terms of addressing the role these elections and the selection of assembly people, men and women, have played, I just want to quote the Ghana District Assembly Elections Act of 1994, which stipulates, quote, district assembly elections are held every 4 years and shall be held at least 6 months apart from parliamentary elections. So just as with the presidential and parliamentary cycle, of course, it comes a year before. That is something that has been established. It's supposed to be about at least 6 months before this cycle, but we've seen the electoral commissions over time, all the way from 1988, 89 to 2019, doing it in this way, a year ahead. But if I asked you, what role specifically, how important have these district, local assembly people, how important have their roles been in our national life? What exactly would you say?
Well, if you look at the assemblies, they perform at least 25 different functions. It covers virtually every aspect of our life, from education, health, infrastructure for roads. You can talk about electricity. You can talk about everything that concerns our lives. From cradle to the grave, the assembly has a role to play. Even to register a baby born, the assembly has a role. To go to school, the assembly has a role. To go to the hospital, because if you look at the construct of our governance system, if you look at primary health care, the provision of infrastructure for primary health care is the responsibility of the local assembly. The provision of infrastructure for basic education, it lies with the local assembly. Of course, there are other institutions that contribute towards these things, but it is a core mandate of the assembly. Now, if you have an assembly system that is beset with a number of problems, you realize that the assembly cannot effectively perform the function it has to perform. And part of the challenges with a local government system is to do with even the level of apathy people have towards the selection of the right people to go and represent us at the district level. And sometimes even it goes beyond just the selection. It also goes, you look at the resources available to some of them. And even sometimes the appreciation of some of the people who are even selected as to what is expected of them also leaves a lot to be desired. So there are a myriad of issues surrounding the whole local government system that we must work at to improve, because it is so important. It is giving huge responsibilities, but the resources, be it human resource or even financial resources that they need to undertake the activities, much is lacking. And we need to work at that, because it is very important, and we need to work at sustaining it and making it more effective. Otherwise, in Ghana, if you look at our current system of local governance, we've had it for about 5 years, since 1998 up to 2023. About 5 years. But if we do an introspection and analyze the effectiveness of our local government system, we'll come to the realization that it is very important, but it's not delivered as much as we expected of it.
Well, I'll get into some of the facts of the case when it comes to the apathy, but we know that this is the area where people get to select their local representatives from the metropolitan, municipal, district assemblies to serve them. But the question is, why the low turnouts? If you look at the data, actually, you see that consistently, these figures, the turnout in the district level elections have been much lower than the turnout in the presidential and parliamentary elections, sometimes actually less than half. So you look at the percentages. In 1988-89, and what is of crucial importance here is how it has fallen consistently. In 1988-89, we had a turnout of 59.3%. In 1994, 29.3%, the lowest we've had within that period. Then 2002, there was a rebound, 41.6%. 2006, it slumped again, 33.1%. 2010, it fell again, 35.5%. 2015, 30.6%, which is very close to the low of 1994. I have not added the 2019 figures yet, but that points to a certain level of nonchalance, apathy. And the question is, why exactly this trend? As we deepen our democracy, you would expect that aspect would also be deepened, which is not the case.
For me, I see two clear issues playing up here. The first one I've mentioned is lack of effective mobilization too. As we have the political parties at the national elections for the members of parliament and the presidency, we don't have any such vehicle. Although, let me be quick to add that clandestinely, the political parties are supporting various candidates in the district level election. It's without question. In fact, I am very much aware of political parties that even conduct what I would call some form of primaries to select candidates to represent them in various electoral areas. But that is beside the point, because openly they don't come out to say that this person is a member of the MPP or the NDC, so vote for that person. But even if you look at the kind of the posters some of them use, they try to identify with the political parties they like. I remember in the last election before this one, I saw a lady who was so smart in the Jowulu areas. There are certain parts of Jowulu that were known to be voting MPP, and he was using blue as a background for her posters. But when she gets to other parts of the area that were known to be NDC, she was using green as the background colors for her posters. But that is beside the point. The critical issue is that there is no effective mobilization tool like what we have for the political parties. The other thing that has come to my attention is also to do with people have come to the realization that the role of assembly members, they don't have a lot of powers to ensure effective development, because if you look at the construct of our district assemblies, there is so much central government control over the assembly system. So the assembly itself is seen as just a continuation of central government to an extent. So some people think, after all, if we elect as an assembly member, that assembly member cannot go into the assembly and insist on the chief executive, for instance, doing certain things in certain direction. Because at the end of the day, it is just an extension of central government administration happening at the assembly level. This is also something that is playing up within the whole situation, that we need to work at ensuring that the assemblies are as decentralized as possible, where the control of central government will be minimal, to the point that central government can only maybe come in to provide controls over expenditure and stuff, not in terms of, using the funds to the purpose they are intended for, but not to tell them that use your funds for this purpose or for that purpose. But we need to work at some of these things. But it's sad that we wait until times like this before we start discussing some of these things, because these are age-long problems that are beset with our local government system. And we must begin to talk about these things prior to these elections, so that we can educate the public about the need for us to have effective local government system.
All right. Now, the interesting bit in there, you talk about the political parties and, of course, NDC and NPP. It's interesting because right ahead of these elections, I've had some people reach out to me over myriad issues in respect of those who can participate, those who can't participate, and what this really means. We do know that public officials, just like with any other elections, so let's say a soldier or a member of the police, if you want to dabble in politics, you would want to step aside, like we saw with Lanshini Tobu, and then embark on politics. But we even have those who are in public service wanting to compete. I want you to clarify for everybody, can such people compete?
Generally speaking, if you are in the security services, you are not allowed to participate. But beyond that, unlike you see, our local government system, we have said, the Constitution clearly states it's non-partisan. So you are allowed to, virtually everybody is allowed to participate in the local level election. You can contest, you can stand for election as a member of the assembly, and it's allowed. However, the law does not allow you, if you are working for an assembly. For instance, if you work in the AME, you are a member of staff of the AME, you cannot be a member of the Accra Metropolitan Assembly. That is, you can't contest an election and be voted for to be a member of that assembly. But if you are moving into another assembly, that one you are allowed. And this must be clarified. Because it is not partisan, it is assumed that even if you are working for any of the public services, you cannot be compromised, except that you cannot be a member of assembly in the assembly within which you work as a public servant. That is the only bar for anyone seeking to contest as a member of the assembly.
And the other bar would be, for example, being with the security services, like military officer, police officer, immigration, among others, right?
Those ones you are not allowed.
Because I hear of one instance, and why I brought it up, I've done my own research which corroborates what you're saying. There's someone who supposedly is a soldier who, in one of these assemblies, for the sake of being, let me just be tight-lipped on that. I will not mention the specific assembly, but he wants to go. He has, in fact, on the ticket of, though we say the political parties are not in there, but this person is at a certain point and is also hoping to contest. That's why I brought up that question. Before I come to my...
That person is the bad. That person cannot contest, and he should be stopped from contesting.
Right, and which is what I made mention of to those who contacted me, but it appears this person is still going ahead, and I'm wondering what is happening. Maybe the Electoral Commission would have eventually, maybe if they don't know that this person is a member of the public service, specifically a member of the military, then I guess at some point it would have to be brought forth, because others had indicated that they had brought the matter forward, spoken to relevant authorities, and still this person was going ahead to compete. But like you have corroborated, this person should be barred from competing. That was why I brought the question forward.
It is not right. I mean, I think ethically, the individual should know that even before we get to the legality of it, ethically, if you are within certain services, I mean, the security services particularly, the military and the police especially, you know straight away there are certain things you cannot do, and these are clearly one of them. So for the sake of, I mean, you are a military person, and your assembly is sitting, and at that time you have to be engaged in certain activities. But how do you go and represent your people? So the person should be advised strongly to desist from that. And if the person is failing, I mean, all the various institutions must be informed, including the service the individual belongs to, must be informed that this is what such an individual intends to do. If you look at teachers and nurses and doctors and other lawyers and other groups, they are not debarred from some of these things, and they can easily go and do it. Once you choose to be in the security services, you must understand the implication and how you could be needed at critical times, and you fail to represent your people. And so you'll be doing a great service to the people you represent. If by the nature of your full-time employment, you cannot be available when your people need.
Do hold for me, Mr. Jacko. Let me bring in Alfred Asiedu Ajay. He is in the studio here with me. He is presiding member, Accra Metropolitan Assembly. Mr. Ajay, a very good morning to you. Thank you for joining the conversation. Is there a specific reason you're in white ahead of the elections?
Today's exactly a week to our district level election.
Yes.
I'm swimming into victory already.
You're swimming into victory?
Already.
In which pond or pool?
Aveno electoral area.
I see. Okay, so that's pretty close to us here, Aveno electoral area. So you are the presiding member. Tell us about what preparations have gone into, all of this process. Of course, we had the Electoral Commission coming through with the registration exercises and all of that. Sometimes there are problems with the timelines, like we saw in 2015, where even the elections were postponed twice. All these have come to bear, and I'll be raising them with Mr. Jacko as well. But what has gone into the preparations ahead of the elections we're having on the 19th?
Okay, so on the part of Electoral Commission, they have a limited registration, which was done.
Yeah.
Even it was also back with a lot of challenges, because the issue has to do with that why must it be done in one specific area? That maybe, for example, in Aveno is part of Okankwe South. Okay, we have 8 electoral areas, and one particular place was chosen for that. Meanwhile, it could have been held in all the electoral areas. Okay, so that was also back with some challenges, which a lot of people did not even attend to even register. So that one has been done. They've had a transfer of votes. That one has been done on the part of Electoral Commission. The display of the electoral register has been done. So now we are waiting for the 19th, that is exactly today's week, for the election to be held. I don't know the earlier discussion that has been, but to put it in the right perspective, the apathy so far as local or district.
And I was just about to get to that, so go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, it's overwhelming because from time immemorial, you can see even the last time it was already less than even 30% of the population.
It was, the last time was just over 30%. So let me just give you the data as I have it. 1988, I don't have 2019, I'm still checking. It may have been slightly higher. 88, 89 was a high voter turnout, 59.3%.
And that is the highest.
That's the highest.
Yes.
1994, it dipped by about 30 percentage points to 29.3%. Actually, exactly 30 percentage points. Then 2002, it shot up again to 41.6%. Then in 2006, 33.1%. Then in 2010, 35.5%. 2015, 30.6%. I'll get the 2019 figure, hopefully, so we can look at it.
That is good.
But that's been the tail of the tape. And the question is, why the apathy? From where you sit, you are in the thick of things. Yes. Why do you think there's that much apathy?
One, I think we need to look at it from this perspective. National Commission for Civic Education, there's a lot that they need to do in terms of intensive education of the population, so far as local governance is concerned. That is one aspect.
The NCC will also tell you about logistical constraints.
Okay,
Their head, Kathleen Addy, is a good friend of mine. I've had interviews with her. It's not an easy task.
Yes.
With what they have.
Okay, so still...
but they are expected to do that.
They are expected. That is why that institution was set up, purposely for that. So irrespective of their challenges, I mean, they need to do the needful and also echo their challenges to the appropriate quarters. As a citizen, we expect that the education should be more. And if you talk about how do we call it, logistics, when it comes to the national election, do they have the same issue of logistics? Because you can see the intensification of education to the population.
Are you suggesting that entities like the NCCE, they discriminate when it comes between local level elections, like the district assembly elections, versus the national elections? Are you saying there's some discrimination?
Okay, I will not put it in that context. As you said, it will be with the logistics, as they rightly put it. So the question is that, does it mean during the national election, that the 7th December, which we all know, they get a lot of logistics for that? That's the first question. Does it mean when they come to the local district level election, they get less logistics for that? If that is so, why? That's the question we need to ask ourselves as a nation. Why? Does it mean that as a nation we don't prioritize district level election? That is one aspect of it too. Yeah.
Okay, so looking at these, you've spoken about the levels of apathy and all of that. How are you dealing with it in your own context, even as you go to the polls? Because that is also a determinant. Sometimes you talk about, X number of people voted. If you are in your electoral area and you are having, 25% of people voting, I don't know what sort of mandate that is, basically, for you.
Yes.
Because it's about a quarter of the voting population actually coming out to vote. But it's just about the apathy. So what has that meant for you, and how are you going about it to whip up?
So that is why you, the assembly member, you have to do a lot of work. You need to make sure that you whip people. You need to make sure that you intensify your campaign from room to room, door to door, everywhere you need to go. Because trust me, you will not get that that euphoria associated towards this NDC, MPP election. So you, the assembly member, you have a lot of work to do by ensuring that you go from every place, every corner of your electoral area to make sure you garner the vote that you rightly need.
Now, in terms of what these assembly people do, men and women, at the local level, and it's crucial because a lot of the time we talk about development, infrastructure, and all of that. It starts from here, even though we have the DCEs among others, but the assembly people have a crucial role. Water, infrastructure, everything in there. But the point to be made also is, in recent times, we've seen a lot of, not even in recent times, there's been a lot of politicization of the process. NDC, MPP, MPP, NDC. Mr. Jaco was making mention of someone who was pretty smart in the last district level elections. So she knew of areas where MPP people were concentrated. In those areas, her posters had a blue color background. In areas where she knew that within the electoral area, where she knew there were clusters of NDC voters, she used a green background. They play these antics because we know. He has made mention that in some places even, there have been, so to speak, primaries, closed door, behind the scene primaries by political parties to choose whom would be the representative in that electoral area. Are you aware of all of these?
I am the presiding member for AMB, 3-time consecutive presiding member.
Right.
I've been 2-term assembly member for Aveno. You see, as a nation, it's like we tickle ourselves and laugh. Okay? The issue is that district level election, on paper, they say it's non-partisan. But I tell you, it is highly partisan.
Highly partisan.
Partisan. Okay?
To what extent?
Okay.
If I said out of 10, how partisan is it?
It is 7 to 8% partisan.
That's about 70 to 80% partisan.
Yes,
that's what you're saying.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
From experience.
From experience. Let me explain to you. When I got to Dakar Metropolitan Assembly, proud to me becoming an assembly member, I was working with some international NGOs. Okay, I thought to engage yourself into politics. So I can say that riding on the back of the NGO, the work I was doing, that is why my committee members. So I personally went to the assembly, not on the ticket of any party.
Okay.
Even though I know the party that I belong to.
Okay. So you have a party.
I have a party.
You belong to a party.
I belong to a party.
Right.
When I got there, at the assembly, we had our orientation and everything. Within the next week, they say, we are having which party do you belong to? NPP or NDC? We are having pro-NPP caucus meeting, pro-NDC caucus meeting.
Wow.
I'm telling you on a fact.
How shocking was that for you?
No, it was a little shocking to me because of my orientation with these NGOs, the work we're doing. Right. So definitely you need to belong, whether you like it or not.
So were you forced to take a side?
It's not like you were forced.
You had to.
You had to.
So you've taken a side. You attend these caucus meetings?
Yes. Okay. So
wow.
So you attend every assembly. They have the pro-NDC assembly members. We have the pro-NPP assembly members. It is there. I'm speaking to the facts. Okay.
Wow.
Even as at now, the entire 422 electoral areas we have in Ghana, pro-NPP know the number of seats that they have. Pro-NDC knows the number of seats that they have. It is there. Every assembly. We have the pro-NPP caucus. We have the pro-NDC caucus. It is not a bad thing, though. So let me go on. Now, when we come to the elections of choosing who to become, for the assembly elections, there are primaries.
There are?
Yes.
You agree with me?
Yes, I agree with me 100%. Behind the scene, there are primaries. Okay, sometimes become a tug of war. Because maybe, for instance, maybe I'm popular in my electoral area at Aveno. Okay, the population, they all like me, the work that I'm doing. Okay, maybe then I'll go to the primaries at my party level and I will lose.
Right.
When I lose, I say, no, there's no way I will agree to that.
Because you know you have the people.
Yeah, I know I have the people. So there are some places that even some assembly members who defy the party,
right,
others are sanctioned. It is there. So you see, as a nation, we keep lying to ourselves. Now, another blow is this. When most organizations want to increase the number of elected women at the assembly, okay, sometimes GIZ, they are doing very, very well, maybe from 3-4 months before the election. Yes, they will try to educate these women with logistics and everything, with the idea that they are going to contest. They are doing good work in their respective electoral areas. Okay? Then along the line, they will go for primaries, then they will lose. You can just imagine. So, you see, I keep saying all the time.
That is because the political party.
Yes, it is there.
Maybe the word that is coming is interference or influence. In there.
Yes, influence there. So, you see, so I'm of the view that as a nation, local government election should be politicized.
Okay, we'll get to that conversation. We'll gradually get there.
Okay.
But do you think the influence of these political parties, the two of them, have been positive at this level? Would it be better, like you said, with the women? In 2015, for example, because of the postponements, some of the women just dropped off. They lost interest. But part of their losing interest is this. It's male-dominated.
Male-dominated.
Whether you like it or not. If you look at the numbers, it is male-dominated. And there is also the financial end. Some people also have to, just as with MPs and ministers, at a smaller level, but assembly people also have to do certain things. And that keeps a lot of women away. Do you think the influence of these political parties in the district assembly elections and more, local government, it's been positive? Or would you prefer that we let it be a level playing field without the influence of the political parties?
At the moment, I believe there's no turning back when it comes to the politicization of our local government election. There's no turning back.
We've gone political, and
no,
that is it.
It is not. We can't turn away from that. It has come to stay. Okay, that as a nation, we keep lying to ourselves. Maybe you tickle yourself, you laugh. It's not enjoyment. It's self-induced laughter. Okay, so it's like there's nothing we can do. So let's go by that and regularize what we are doing.
All right, hold for me. Let me bring in Mr. Ejako. You've listened patiently, Mr. Ejako. What do you make of the comments of Mr. J here in the studio? He's a presiding member. He is with the Accra Metropolitan Assembly. And this is what he is saying. Those realities, are those realities you know about the influence of these political parties, even at this level of elections?
Well, they are real. I did mention that earlier. And Honorable PM knows a lot. I mean, he's an experienced assembly member and an important assembly member in the country as a whole. The issue clearly is that we've come to this point, and indeed we've behaved like ostriches, and we've taken sometimes it's ideological stance that quite a number of knowledgeable people have taken, to which they've opposed this whole idea of politicizing the local level election. But until we can do a lot more about this, we're going to witness this level of apathy. And the political parties, throughout the whole process of the local government system, are actively playing up their hands. Honorable Jay will confirm to you that you go to the assemblies, you have two caucuses, particularly NPP and DC. Virtually every assembly, except where it is predominant one party in that area. But even if you do have the besides the elected assembly members, there are also the governor appointees. So automatically, assembly members from the government side are going to be there, and they will be there to push the agenda of the ruling party. So you come to this realization that we claim our system is supposed to be non-partisan, but it is fully partisan, and we must own up to this fact. And either we work at completely removing the partisanship, or we accept the reality and move towards looking at using the partisanship as an effective tool to make our local government system more effective.
All right, Mr. Jacko, you've proffered. All right, you've proffered.
Political parties are very good for democracy.
All right, you've proffered two options, and you say you don't see anything wrong with the political angle. Which one then would you go for? Are you going for politicizing it and moving along those lines and streamlining it to ensure that it is serving its purpose at that level? Is that what you're saying?
I believe so. I mean, I believe political parties are tools, or they are vehicles for development. In our part of the world, we've made our political parties a tool for division, but it's not supposed to be so. Political parties are there to provide, they must provide contestations for ideas. This political party has this ideology. This is how they believe the country or the locality should be governed. Let me decide at my local level that indeed I like the policies and programs of this particular political party. And let's not begin to think that if you allow other political parties to have a foothold at certain local levels, they are going to compete with central government. It is local government. Let us allow the local to work according to how the people feel. You see, at the end of the day, we must believe in the aspirations of our people. If they believe in a political party, we should allow that political party to provide them with the leadership they need. Otherwise, we'll be, I keep coming back to it. We are behaving like ostriches. The political parties are active at that level. You wait. After this election, after the general election, whoever emerges as a president is going to select district chief executives. Some areas, it's a question of, hey, as for this caucus, we'll vote for you if you are going to give us this money. And because of that kind of challenge, there's so much corruption in our local government system. But if we were going out there to select our own district chief executive, if we are going out there to elect our own assembly members based on their political ideology, I don't see anything wrong with that.
All right, so
and our local government system will be more effective.
So how will that, you say it will be more effective, but then it will be more political, and like you said, the president could even proffer someone and the vote will always be against that person. We've seen instances, even within this administration, where that has happened for DCEs, among others. But there's a crucial point to be made. Politicization comes with monetization, and that is the fear of many people. Once you politicize it, you monetize it, you weaponize it for the political parties. How do you respond to that?
No, you see, we want to remove apathy. And apathy has bred because people think at the end of the day, I vote for my assembly member, and that assembly member is not going to make any significant difference. Because at the end of the day, it is the president of the day who is going to select the district chief executive, who is given too much powers at the local level. We need a system that will give me opportunity to look at alternative ideas as to how my district is going to be developed. As it stands now, there is no programs that are sold to the people as to how they should, as to why they should choose candidate A or candidate B. If you are an assembly member and you come, and you see, it's led to situations that people are promising things they can't deliver. And I believe we need to work at giving people the opportunity to present manifestos. This is what I would do if I'm selected. This is what my party intends to do. So that when you come into office, today, I know, Joy is doing extremely well by looking at promises that various governments have made. It's not only with this government. Over the years, key institutions, Imani and the rest, are able to list what parties promised prior to coming into office and what they are delivering. And they can even give them ratings based on how much they've delivered. Can we do same at the local level? We can't, because an assembly member may come and tell you, when I come, I'm going to work on your water situation, I'm going to work on your road situation. But then the person comes and you know clearly that person doesn't have the capability of providing what they might even have promised. And you can't blame them for that, for failing to deliver on their promise. So at the end of the day, I come to the realization, after all, it's not going to create any difference. Why should I waste my time to turn up to go and vote? Let me also add another thing. When it comes to the days for the election of, for holding local level elections, I've also come to the realization that, you see, in national elections, you tend to see, although it may not be declared as a public holiday, you tend to see
I think we have a bit of a struggle with his connection. Mr. Jacko, can you hear me? All right, we'll try to reconnect with Mr. Jacko. Interesting points he has made. I saw you noting a lot. So before I throw another question at you, what are your reactions?
Yes, he made mention of the voting of the MMDCs.
Right.
So that is where we have the tug of war. Sometime for you to even get your MMC to get the two-thirds vote, sometimes you need to even lobby should I say the opposition party.
Right.
Sometimes lobby through their member of parliament and so on and so forth. Okay, that is it happens.
That's how embedded
yes, it is. Yes. Especially at places that may be in court, you have more NDC elected assembly members, okay, who are more than even 1/3, because 1/3 of the district, that is where the lobby...
Because you need 2/3. So if they are more than 1/3,
yes,
you're already in trouble.
Yes, you are already in trouble.
They're going to keep voting against
Yes, so sometimes you even need to compromise, negotiate. Sometimes they can tell you that, okay, let me use the MPP as an example, because it's MPP.
And we've seen it happen within this.
Yes, so sometimes there is lobbying that, okay, we are going to take the presiding member and you take the MMDC. Okay, it is happening live everywhere, or most places that we have the voting of the MMDC. So what Mr. Ojo said is very, very, very true.
This negotiation, does it sometimes involve money as well? Are there times when you literally are told by the other side, if our caucus is going to vote for you, you must pay this amount?
Every election in Ghana, we all know that definitely it has to do with monetization. Every election. And but the question is that is it your money that is going to influence somebody to vote for you? Yes or no? Sometimes it's not the case, but I'm of the view that when you are going to contest for an election, maybe you are mobilizing people to do. Definitely, you need to, give them one or two resources for them to keep maybe supporting you one way or the other. So monetization everywhere, it is everywhere, like in our election.
All right.
We are all aware of that.
I have two quick questions for you. The first one, there have been reports in the past about members of parliament in Ghana and how much averagely you would be expected to spend to become a member of parliament. How much averagely you would be expected to spend to become president of Ghana. At this level, averagely, how much are you spending?
This is a difficult question.
You've been there for quite a while.
Yes.
You know
no. So
the ins and outs.
Yes, every electoral area in its own dynamics.
Right.
Okay, but maybe from organizing program, organizing symposium, and a whole lot of things within your electoral area prior to election. I'm looking at spending close to 50,000 or more.
Ghana cedis.
Yes.
Nothing less than that.
Yes, I'm looking at that.
Okay.
So without these resources, trust me, winning your election will be extremely difficult.
And this is 50,000 without maybe in those instances where about 1/3 come from the other side, the other caucus, then you may have to expend more to pay them as well.
Not to us, say, I'm very careful with the word of payment.
So lobby. To lobby them.
To lobby them. Yeah.
Let's talk about, so the last time there was this proposal for district assembly elections to be conducted on a partisan basis. You remember?
Yes.
There was actually going to be a referendum on that. And then, of course, it was realized that there was not some support in certain quarters. And so it was withdrawn. It was set aside. Do you feel that was an opportunity missed?
That was a very big opportunity. Very, very big opportunity. And to me, we need to revisit that discussion again. As a nation, we need to revisit that discussion again. It was a big opportunity. As I said, it is highly partisan when you come to the local government district level election. It is there. So why should we, as Mr. Odo rightly put it, we are behaving like what? Ostriches. So to me, we need to revisit. Anytime we have the opportunity as a nation, let's revisit that discussion again for the district level election should be held on partisan basis.
In terms of women candidates, though, what do you think we can do to up the numbers, up the ante?
The first and foremost is the women themselves should have the passion for the election.
You rightly mentioned it. Some of them may not have the financial draw.
Yeah.
And for some of them, you, the men, make it very unattractive because you play buga, so to speak, hard, and you will not give them any space. And in addition, there are other mechanisms in place, and it becomes very unattractive for them. So since you want the thing to go political, then how do you suggest on the political level that, though we are not there yet, how do you suggest the political parties push some more women into these elections?
Yes, so the political parties, as I said, we've not gotten there yet. But the first and foremost, for the women themselves, I'm looking at it from that perspective, for them to have the passion for community work, for them to have the passion to lead the community in terms of being an assembly member. So that is the first point, before any other resources come into being.
Mr. Jacko, are you back with us? Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, so you were making a point, and I have even gone ahead to talk about political parties getting into the fray and other dynamics, and whether the last referendum, which was not eventually held, to actually give political backing to the district level elections was an opportunity missed. You can conclude on your point and share your thoughts on that as well.
Well, I mean, absolutely. Let me continue with where you are. Absolutely. We missed a huge opportunity. And I'm praying that going forward, we can have this kind of opportunity again. And I think that the timing of that conversation was also too close to a national level election.
Okay.
For which I think the partisan stance became too obvious in that conversation. Okay. But one point that you've raised, which is very dear to my heart, is the lack of representation of women in our governance system as a whole. And it is worse at the local level. This is the place where you're going to have a lot more women being active in our governance system at the local level. But looking at the current situation, we have less than 8% representation of women. Yeah. Men have done so well to effectively cut off the women. If I know Honorable is a very good assembly member, but if I were to ask him to step down for a while, he would totally disagree.
He would disagree with you. I'll speak on his behalf. In the white he's got, he will not agree.
I'm going to hold first to government in power.
Right.
Begin to redress some of these things. We have 30% representation that are government appointees. Why shouldn't we reserve 80% of that for just women to begin with?
Right.
Why don't we look at that? The political parties, they can help us. Why don't they begin to look at creating safe seats for women in the whatever they conduct at the local level? Why don't they say that, okay, if there are 5 seats, we're going to ensure that 1 is reserved for women? These are things we need to do, but particularly government appointees. I want to see at least 80% of the 30% of all assembly members appointed by government being women to start off with. And I would want to use this platform to also encourage every person turning up to vote for a woman, except when they are voting, they are contesting with Honorable Ejiri.
I see. So that's an interesting point you make. But then there's also the bit of course, we've already started speaking about reforms as far as our local governance system is concerned. And this is one aspect of it. I do recall, I mean, this came up in 2019 to amend Article 2431 of the Constitution, which gives the president the power to appoint all metropolitan, municipal, and district chief executives to make these positions elective. But there was also that promise then by the local government minister at the time, Haji Alima Mahama, that the MPP would ensure the partisan election of MMDCEs in its second term in office. This is the second term. We still await that. What other reforms would you say you are looking forward to? Because look, when you look at the efficiency of these district assemblies and the DCEs, among others, you would also note that a lot of these MMDAs, for example, they are not functional online. At least per the last reports I have seen, about 90% of their websites, Facebook pages contain nothing. That also leads to the apathy we see. What do you make of that?
You see, that goes into the realm of e-governance. And I mean, the assembly provides a lot of services. I don't always have to walk into the assembly to access some of these services. I can make applications for certain permits and licenses online. And I can make payment for some of these things without necessarily walking to the assembly. So all those things are there. The reforms that we were hoping for, at least I would say from my perspective, there were a lot of reforms that were expected. But what was needed at the time was to look at the bigger issue, the question of partisanship. That could have led to a cascading effect on other reforms that could have happened. I mean, as we speak for now, look at the election of, the presiding member is sitting with you. Even election of presiding members is so difficult a system. Some places can go for virtually the whole 4 years and they can't elect a presiding member because of the way we've made it. To elect a presiding member, you need to test of all members of the assembly supporting an individual before that person can be elected. But even to elect the president of Ghana, you need just a simple majority of Ghanaians stating that, yes, like we say, 50% plus one. It's a simple majority thing. If you go to the election of the member of parliament, you don't even need a majority. You only need the first past the post. If whoever gets the highest votes is elected as the member of parliament. So these are all reforms.
The connection is bad again. On reforms, Mr. J, what are some of the things you do?
So let me touch on what is the election of the presiding member. You need 2/3 of members of the assembly. 2/3.
2/3.
2/3. And remember,
how many members are in your assembly?
We have 34.
34.
34. We have, that is 30 assembly members.
Okay,
30 assembly members, 20 are elected. Okay. 10 are government appointees. We have the mayor, okay, 31, and the 3 members of parliament. So the 3 members of parliament are part of the assembly. And for you to be voted for as a presiding member, you need 2/3 of members of the assembly. Okay. Meanwhile, the 3 of them they don't have voting rights.
The 3 MPs don't have
voting rights, but they will be added to the 2/3.
Wow.
Yes.
They don't vote, but they are added to the number.
Yes. For you to elect a presiding member, 2/3 of members of the assembly.
What does that really mean? So in terms of the real voting and whoever gets elected?
So we said 2/3. So as I'm saying, 34, you need 2/3 of them. As I said, so but the disparity is that the 3 members of parliament are members of the assembly. Meanwhile, they don't have voting right, but they are counted to form part of the 2/3.
So what would be your proposal in terms of reform?
Yes, as I said, there should be this reform. Okay, simple majority. And the suicidal aspect has to do presiding member now is that when you go for your first term and you don't clock the 2/3, the second term you don't clock the 2/3, you cannot contest again. I hope you understand me. For presiding member, you have only 2 times for you to contest for your presiding membership. So for the first time, if you are not able to get the 2/3, second time 2/3, you need to step aside.
For someone else.
Yes, so that is where the machinations and a whole lot of, things come into being. Meanwhile, to vote for the president, simple majority. Okay?
So 50%
yes,
plus.
Plus 1. Okay, but and the other side is that the presiding member position is just for 2 years. 2 years for a presiding member. Meanwhile, the MMDC is 4 years.
Right.
MP, 4 years. The president is 4 years. But the presiding member, which you have to struggle with all these 2/3 votes, it is just 2 years. So the next 2 years, you need to go again. So you can just imagine. So
that means reform. Since 2019, you've done 2021.
Yes.
Now you're doing 2023.
Yes.
And if you are retained, you will do 2025.
Yes. So if I'm retained as an assembly member and I'm going to contest for the presiding, I need to go for the presiding member again 2 years. So there should be a big reform when it comes to the position. I think the presiding member election should be coterminous to the 4 years, just like the MMDCs or the MPs. It should be 4 years.
If we have Mr. Jaco back, and if you've heard of the reforms being proposed by Mr. J, what would be your reaction to them? Mr. Jaco, are you with us? Okay, so Mr. Jaco is not with us. There's another aspect of this entire conversation. Of course, this also goes to support the bit about going political as far as the local government is concerned. There was a survey conducted by the CDD on citizens and their support for the election of MMDCEs, Metropolitan, Municipal, and District Chief Executives. And guess what? 7 out of 10, about 76%, were in favor of the election of MMDCEs, while 71%. So it showed that more than 7 in 10 Ghanaians, 76%, favored the election of MMDCEs, while 71% said they preferred that MMDCEs be elected on a non-partisan basis. So it's an interesting bit there. It's not so straightforward in terms of the voting patterns on that. But something else I'd like to find out from you, Mr. J. Would you say, because all of this too borders on development, would you say the election of all of these people at the local government level would be better for our development as a nation?
Can you again?
The election of MMDCs. You know, there are components that are elected, there are those that are not elected at the local level. And I'm saying, do you feel at that level it would be better for our development if we elected?
Yes, to me, it should be better for us as a nation, for the MMDCs to be elected. Reason being that, you know, for you to vote for the MMDC, it is the assembly members who will vote for the MMDC. There are some citizens who even don't know their MMDC, but just like
some don't even know the assembly people.
Yes, so
MMDC.
So just like for you to contest for the MP position, you need to, go around to campaign, go to, every corner to campaign. The same way, to me, I believe voting election of MMDC at the broad base, it will be good for our nation, and you'll be accountable directly to the people. The people are also going to hold you accountable for the position that you are occupying. So to me, they should be voted for. And as I rightly said, as a nation, it was a big opportunity that we missed. But if we have the opportunity to revisit that discussion again, it will be good for this nation.
Now, you have a paltry 8% of women in there. You're going to the polls again. There are many more of these electoral areas, so many of them that are going to be contested. Are you going to eventually go for the presiding membership again? It depends on what happens on December the 19th, right?
Yes, but I can assure you I'm winning the election. For that one, I can.
Based on what are you saying then?
Oh, based on a lot of development.
Have you pumped enough money into the system?
No, not just.
Have you lobbied enough?
I've done my work very well in Avino electoral areas. As for the victory, I'm 100% sure that I'm winning that particular
election. The presiding membership?
And the presiding membership, I'm going to contest again. And after that, I also go and contest for the NALAC president. I contested last year and I lost by 21 votes. And I will go and contest the NALAC presidency election again.
I see.
Yeah.
Well, all the best with that. Yeah. Do you have any final words for us?
Yes. One, still on the assembly election, it's high time as a nation we move away from the issue that assembly election is voluntary. We need to move away from that level. As you rightly said to me, I will still support the election of the MMDCs or election of the assembly members on partisan basis. And the last but not the least has to do, this is an appeal. Anytime I get the opportunity, I appeal to the government that as assembly members, you serve your community for 4 years. When you are done with that, your end of service benefits, or what we call maybe ex gratia, is nothing to write home about.
How much do you usually get?
So the question is not how much you get, it is based on your MMDA. Okay, there's a quota. So I'm coming from a metropolitan assembly. Last 4 years, after serving my country for 4 years, your ex gratia was 5,000 Ghana cedis. Okay, I will not complain much. Okay, but when you go to the rural areas, some get as low as 1,000 Ghana cedis, 1,005 Ghana cedis, and you can just imagine. Even the 1,000 Ghana cedis, some do not even they don't even give it to you bulk. It comes sometimes in the football formation, 442, 400, 400, and 200. So after serving for the 4 years, there should be an equal ex gratia for every assembly member, irrespective of wherever you are coming from, metropolitan, district, or municipal. Because just like MPs, if you are an MP, it may be Bole Bamboy, you are an MP, it may be Okankwe South. Wherever you are the MP, at the end of serving for your 4 years, you are given equal amount of ex gratia. So as a nation, we need to make the assembly more lucrative and more attractive, and that will give the passion for the people to work. Because it's very, very difficult now. I have a friend who was working in some reputable company. He was getting 4,000, a month, and he's having the passion for community work too. He had to resign from that because of the community work. You don't even have the time to work effectively at wherever you are working. So it's high time we look at even stipends or salary for assembly, because assembly members are not being paid.
Stipends for assembly members?
Yes.
Right. How much do you think would be
for that one? I will not take the silo decision. I think we need.
No, but you've been in there. Mm-hmm. How much do you think would work? Looking at your community work and everything, how much would work? 1,000 CDs, 2,000 CDs?
No, it's nothing to write home about.
3,000? 5,000?
Maybe.
5,000?
Maybe.
Maybe 5,000.
Maybe.
Maybe 5,000 will make the cut.
5,400 will make a cut. But the issue has to do with whether it's a salary or not. Because when you raise the issue about salary, the question will be that you cannot be on the government payroll. Okay, so at the end of the day, it is the money that we are looking at. It is the incentive that we are looking at. So there should be a way, because it is not attractive at all when you go to some rural areas.
All right. Mr. J, thank you so much for joining us this morning. You just heard Alfred Esiedu J. He's presiding member. He is with the Accra Metropolitan Assembly. And we also have, he joined us earlier in the conversation, Fred Odro Ejako, a local governance expert. Now, do stay with us, because two crucial issues we're bringing your way. We're definitely going to be telling you about the Ability Fair. That will be much later. But I don't know whether you've had any problems with your car in recent times. Maybe I should start with the studio. Have you had any jerking, any problem? You remember the fuel issue that came up. Have you experienced any problems with your car?
Not yet.
Nothing. Well, I have. Okay. And a number of people have. Apparently, cars of a certain make from a certain year are more sensitive. Okay. And so we are looking at, the MPA is looking at our fuel products and other dynamics to ensure that our cars are protected. That conversation will be coming up next as we engage the National Petroleum Authority. Stay with us. We started the conversation yesterday. We continue up next on the AM Show.